everybody, this is Josh Valencia, and we're going to be looking at how to master a track that has limited dynamic range to work with. So basically what we're going to do now is just work with this track. It's a track from a friend of mine, Havoc Roth. He's an EDM producer, DJ, really good at what he does out of Miami, so go ahead, check him out, and let's listen to the track. Before I did anything, obviously, so let me turn these off. Blur, blur, okay. So as you can tell, the song does sound pretty good already. As I was listening through the whole track, it's a pretty long track. I believe it's like 5 minutes long. I noticed that it did need a little bit of top end cleaning up, and Havoc Roth sent me the track. His name is Julio, by the way, but I'm just gonna call him that. Julio sent me the track, and I went ahead and started to tweak it. I listened to the whole thing, obviously. I wanted to listen to what was missing, what would I add to it, and which is a good part about getting someone else to master your stuff, is that you get to get a second opinion, and then they get to do their kind of balancing act. And I felt like it was a little dull up top, so what I did is that I went ahead and used the T-Rax EQ. I was actually doing this in a hurry, and this is the quickest thing I could have done. I just fired up T-Rax, which is their standalone application is absolutely phenomenal. But I did just fire it up and was able to just kind of peel back some of the top end here. What this does is that it gets rid of all that really, really harsh stuff. As I'm going to be boosting some of the highs, I am curling back a little bit of everything over 16K, which is kind of like harsh on the ears anyway. So as I'm bringing that down, I am boosting a little bit of that. Where do I have this at? I just kind of I'm going to aim it at the highs. I don't even have a frequency here, I think. I don't see it. It might be that 4K, but again, I'm just going to look at this up here. It is some of the high frequencies. I am boosting a good bit, like, 2.8 dB, and then rolling back some of the very top, like I mentioned before. The high mid I'm actually not using. Low mid, not doing a ton to it. And then the lows, I am backing it down about 1.1 dB, which is pretty standard for me at this point. I don't want a ton of lows on the sides. And then I have my low cut, just kind of where it is around 30 hertz. That is kind of low. I usually have a little less up top, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring that down. Actually, I'll bring it up. I want to hear less. So that sounds good. And then let's go to I'm doing this in MS. MS basically lets me treat the sides differently, EQ them differently than I would the mids. The mid being the center of the stereo image, the side being the left and right. Mid, I do the same kind of low cut. There is a difference. Yeah, there's a little bit more high in the middle. There is a logic to this. Since this is an EDM song, it is going to be played in a club. And I want, unfortunately in most clubs, not everyone's going to be in the sweet spot. So we kind of want everyone in the club to have the same great experience. So we're going to go ahead and boost the middle of it as well. We want people that are listening to it on their headphones and in the club to get the same experience. So we're going to add that little bit of brightness in the middle too. The low mid, I do bring down a tiny bit in this middle. I don't know. I just think it felt good at the time. It just felt really good. Anyway, the lows I bring down a little bit more than I did on the other side, than on the sides, which is weird. I don't know why, but it did feel good. It made everything a little punchier, a little fatter. I did like that a good bit. And then I did roll off. Don't always think that when you're dropping something in an EQ, it's just going to sound thinner. Sometimes it just works out that it'll sound fatter even though you're bringing it down a hair. Maybe it's taking up too much of the frequency range and you're not hearing the girth of it. You're just hearing it blow up. Usually when you make it smaller, sometimes and tighter, it's more condensed. You get that more condensed feel, which is cool. So let's go ahead and listen to it. Engaged. Before. So you could definitely hear that when it was building up, we really heard that build up a little clearer just because we had those highs a little bit more present. If most of you noticed, we were peaking. What I did is I just put a brick wall limiter. It's not adding anything in terms of tonality. It is bringing it down a hair just to keep it at the 0 dB. This thing is super loud as it is. Let's go ahead and check out the meter just to make sure it's not doing a ton. So at its worst, it's doing about 2 dB of gain reduction. I'm okay with that. Just because it is what it is. I just don't need it peaking over 1. I don't want it to blow up anyone's PA. So that's just a quick overview of how I would go over mastering a song that's already been maxed out in terms of volume. This happens a lot with EDM and all sorts of other pop tunes. So thanks for watching, and go ahead and follow, subscribe, all that stuff. You know, Julio has, you know, this like 9,000 followers. It's pretty ridiculous. I need some more. So go ahead and follow. Thanks, guys, and watch the next one. See ya. Bye-bye.